All right, I want you to forget everything you think you know about time, about how things begin and how they end. Settle in, because we're going to explore a story, kind of like a campfire tale, about the one entity that stands at the very, very end of it all, the messenger.
And our story starts right here with this description. Now, this isn't some ghost story. This is about a presence so fundamental, so real, that its very movement literally changes the world. We're talking about a being that doesn't just pass through time. It is the weight and consequence of time itself.
I mean, that's the real question here, isn't it? If the end of everything, the final, unavoidable conclusion, actually had a face, what would you see? Let's try and piece together who or what this messenger really is.
So first thing you have to understand is that the messenger, who also goes by the pretty epic title, the High Judge of the Void, isn't some god you can pray to or a spirit you can bargain with. No, it's a fact. It's the physical form of the truth that every single thing, from the breath you just took to the brightest star in the sky, has an endpoint.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. The messenger doesn't just have one look. Its appearance is more like a mirror, reflecting whoever is looking at it. And this is where the story starts to get personal for all of us.
So, if you're young, the messenger appears as a child, but there's a catch. You can hear this distinct, mechanical, clockwork heartbeat, a pretty stark reminder that even when you're just starting out, the clock is already ticking. But to the aged, it's an elder, and they bring with them the scent of thunder on the air, symbolizing all the moments that have piled up, like a storm that's finally about to break.
You know, despite the different forms, one thing is always the same. The eyes. They're always described this way, burning like dying stars. And that detail, wow, it just perfectly captures its ancient cosmic nature. This being has seen entire galaxies burn out, and it holds all of that fading light right there in its gaze.
Now, an entity this important, this fundamental, well, it's got to have a symbol, right? A tool that represents what it does. And for the messenger, that tool is the Lantern of Weeping Sand.
And this is not just any old lantern. Get this, it's forged from the shattered remains of countless hourglasses. And the sand inside? It's called Weeping Sand. Each tiny little grain represents a life that has come to a close. And every single flicker of light you see from inside it, that's a moment reaching its inevitable conclusion.
When the messenger gets close, you can feel reality itself start to buckle under the weight. Mirrors fog up, almost like they can't reflect a future anymore. And the air gets heavy, thick with the ghosts of all the decisions that were never made. It's an atmosphere of pure, unfiltered consequence.
But the messenger doesn't just show up to be spooky. It comes to deliver a message, a revelation so profound it's actually called a terrible, honest truth. So let's dig into the wisdom it brings.
It's called terrible because, well, it's absolute. It's uncompromising. It doesn't wait for a convenient time. It arrives without warning, right in the middle of a perfectly normal breath, and it just shatters that illusion we all cling to, the idea that we have any real control over the flow of time.
And this is the first part of its message. We think of time as something we have, right? Something we can spend or waste or save. But the messenger says that's our biggest mistake. You can't own a river. You can only travel on it.
And then comes the second part. This is the really hard truth. Time isn't a gift, it's a sentence. Not like a punishment, but a duration, a period of time we're assigned. And the only real choice we get is how we serve it, with fear or with courage.
And right here, this is the root of so much of our suffering. The agony doesn't come from time running out. It comes from our desperate, hopeless struggle to possess it. We're so busy trying to count the seconds, to own the river, that we completely forget to actually experience the journey downstream.
Okay, so now let's zoom out. I mean, way, way out. The messenger's job isn't just about individuals. It has one last, massive, cosmic role to play at the very end of, well, everything.
This is the setting for the final act, and it's not really a place you can point to on a map. It's more like a state of being, the boundary line where all of existence finally just stops and gives way to absolute nothingness.
And at this edge, the messenger stands guard, like the last sentinel. Its whole purpose is to hold the last dying embers of light, of heat, of memory. It doesn't judge, it just watches as the universe unravels. And its very last act is to whisper that there was beauty in the story, not in spite of its end, but because of it.
And here it is, the ultimate twist. The messenger's final job is to set time itself free.
Think about it. When there's nothing left to measure, nothing left to exist, time is finally released from its own sentence. That burden of constantly, relentlessly moving forward.
So after all that, this huge cosmic story comes all the way back down to you. If that ticking clock isn't a threat, but the actual rhythm of being alive, the heartbeat of your life, then it stops being a deadline, and it becomes a melody. So the only question left is, what kind of song are you going to make with the time you have?